Hey guys, this is Brad and Mike from Dallas Geek, and we're coming to you today with our review for Logan. Um, we had previously done a recording for this, but somebody couldn't keep their review family friendly.
My defense, it's not a family-friendly movie.
So, with that, we'll try to stick to the highlights. We're going to try to avoid spoilers for at least the first half of this. When we're going to go into spoiler territory, we'll let you know. And if you have not already seen it, turn away. But for now, the non-spoiler highlights. Mike, what did you think?
Good God, this movie was brutal. Like, the violence was way turned up for this.
Yeah.
Really took advantage of that R rating, didn't they? Dear God.
Yeah.
Jesus, I knew when, it's not really a spoiler because it's in the Red Van trailer, but when she walks out of the warehouse holding the dude's head, I was like, holy crap. Okay.
Yeah. The violence was definitely intense.
Yes.
Granted, for me, I don't feel like any of it felt gratuitous for what the story was.
No. Just the
like there are certain movies that you go into it and you know it could have gone PG-13, it could have gone R. It was definitely rated R, but the reasons for that they were putting in gratuitous stuff so that they could make it an R movie.
Yeah.
This, because of the story that they were telling, I don't feel like the violence was gratuitous for that, and I feel like it was appropriately brutal because the story itself was just a very raw story to tell. So it was necessarily as brutal as it had to be.
This was a movie that was designed to attack all of the senses.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it did.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get this one piece out of the way. In terms of timeline, where this movie falls,
we don't have any clue.
I mean, if you look at certain details, some of it seems like this is meant to be the timeline that was not rebooted by Days of Future Past. Some of it makes it seem like this is part of the timeline after the timeline for X-Men was rebooted with Days of Future Past. And then there are certain things that just make this feel like it's kind of its own standalone thing. And when you go and hear the things that James Mangold has said about where he feels this falls in the timeline,
you still don't have any clue.
Some of what he said makes it sound like it's supposed to be the post rebooted timeline. Others makes it sound like this is supposed to be a standalone story that doesn't necessarily need to connect back to the other X-Men movies, because especially some of his original press tour conversations about the movie, this movie was made with the intention to be a standalone story.
Yeah.
And it was only after people kept asking, where does this fall in the timeline, that he tried to come up with an explanation for it.
Right.
But in general, as long as we take this as it's its own standalone story, does not need to connect to the other X-Men movies, then it makes perfect sense. And only the fact that it has some references to the other X-Men movies and just say that, well, it's a thing, don't try to make sense of it too much, that's good enough.
Yeah. That's yeah. I mean, that's about right.
So don't think too hard about the timeline here. Otherwise, I mean, I think it was a fantastic movie.
Oh, absolutely.
There were certain things about it that could have been done differently, could have been done a little bit better. But overall, I think the movie was a very solid performance by Hugh Jackman. It was an incredible direction by James Mangold, and in terms of the overall aesthetic and feel of the movie, it felt very intense and immersive.
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally agree. Everybody in this movie was pretty damn fantastic.
Yeah.
Not with the exception of maybe one or two people. But
yeah. There were a couple of
characters that didn't really need to be in there.
Yeah. And we'll go into that in the spoiler side of the review, which we'll get to in just a couple more minutes.
But, no, yeah, you're totally right. Like, Jackman was fantastic. So was Patrick Stewart, but then again, what isn't he fantastic in?
Yeah, in fact, I think there were two parts of this movie that made the movie what it was, and makes it a movie that is required viewing. And one of those two things was the dynamic between Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we've seen them in the other X-Men movies together, and they had a decent connection. But this movie, oh my gosh, this very much felt like a more father-son dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah.
But done so in a very hard and heartfelt way.
Yeah.
Like there were a couple of scenes between the two of them. Even one of their first scenes together on screen that honestly tore me the hell apart.
Yeah.
And it hurt to watch because it felt so emotionally just raw. And then the other thing, oh my gosh, the connection between Hugh Jackman and I cannot remember her name, but the girl in this movie. I mean, obviously because she is one of the main pieces of the story, you were hoping that connection was going to be there, but as a child actress especially, I think she had so much to contribute, and categorically did not fall into that problem. Who is it now?
Daphne Keane.
Daphne Keane. Yeah. She was phenomenal in this, and categorically did not fall into the description that so many other child actors are of. They were there, but they were the least important part of the movie, or they were the most annoying part of the movie.
Yeah.
No, this, I think she was amazing, especially because the vast majority of the movie she had no dialogue, and so she had to go strictly off of how she could physically emote, and it worked between the two of them. It just worked.
Yeah, like every scene that she was in, it's weird because there were scenes that she didn't say anything and all she did was sit there, but like with her little mannerisms and her little physical cues and everything like that, like she commanded the attention of the scene onto her.
Yeah.
And she played off with Hugh Jackman really well. Like they played off of each other very well. Like especially when you get more towards the end of the movie and they just kind of start going back and forth with each other. Like that's when it really opens up and you're like, oh damn.
Yeah, when she does finally start talking, I don't think it takes away anything. Yeah, I think it adds to their connection. Granted, it's not really a spoiler, but when she does talk, because her nonverbal performance had been so strong, it was actually slightly shocking to me just how high-pitched her voice was.
Yeah.
Like, that was the part that took me aback more than anything else. Like, and I mean, I know she's a kid, so that should have been something that I was just expecting, but I mean, her nonverbal performance was just that strong that it just felt like when she opened her mouth, you were expecting like the voice of an adult woman, because she was just so intense.
It's also, man, also all the physical stuff she does in this movie too.
Yes.
Like she gets after it.
Yeah.
Like I'd be really interested to see like how much of the stuff they let her do.
Yeah.
just because finding a stunt double that small would have probably been a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, it's actors like her and like Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things that continue.
Love 11.
The two of them continue to go back and just show proof that you can find good child actors.
Yeah. Well, the entire cast.
You just have to look.
The entire cast of Stranger Things is awesome.
Oh yeah,
that's
different conversation entirely.
Have we done a review for that yet?
Not yet, but we'll.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think that's about as much as we can go into without going into spoiler territory. Just at this point, if you haven't seen Logan, you need to. Yeah. And if you have seen Logan, see it again.
Yes.
Honestly, I know that.
I know that we're doing showings around here in black and white.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Fox has done plenty of things as a studio to make you maybe not want to give them your money, but in this particular case, I think it's absolutely worth continuing to do to financially support this movie, to show them that this is the type of movie that we need to see from them more. We want this type of content from them more, and so it's only by continuing to financially support these type of movies that they will get that message.
Well, don't forget, this movie basically owes everything to Deadpool.
Yes.
If Deadpool wasn't a smash hit,
they wouldn't be able to do as much as it did.
Yeah. They were able to be like, wait, look at how much money Deadpool did. You can give us an R rating.
Yeah. So, to wrap up the end of non-spoiler territory, Mike, overall impressions, what kind of rating would you give this?
Jesus, this is easily an A, if not an A+.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'll have to go with an A because there were some things that really bugged the hell out of me, which we will get into here very shortly. But no, this movie was everything that I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, closing the chapter on the X-Men franchise, at least for where we're at right now.
For Hugh Jackman's time with the X-Men franchise.
Dude, I would say with everything, because Stewart's done, Jackman's done, the original cast is done. Like, this is it.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
so the original run.
This is a 17-year journey. Because remember, X-Men 1 dropped in 2001.
Good Lord.
So we've been with this storyline, these characters for 17 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, this is the perfect ending for that in terms of, like, we're done with these characters. This is the story that we told with them. We broke your hearts, you laughed, you cried, you did all that.
Yeah.
Now we're moving on, but, like, this is where it stops, and for that, there we go. From here to here, there was some bad stuff in between. X-Men 3, X-Men Origins Wolverine. But the way that they went out was just as good as the way that it started, if not better.
Yeah, I'd actually say it went out even higher than it came in. In fact, I'd say as a whole, this movie was worth the low points that we got in the X-Men franchise so far.
I don't know if anything's worth X-Men 3.
I mean, because of...
Or a Deadpool with his mouth sewn shut.
I mean, it's pushing it. Don't get me wrong, it's pushing it. But if all of that led up to this movie, then I have to say that it was worth enduring everything else, because this movie was the story of Logan and the performance of Hugh Jackman's that we have been waiting for.
Yeah.
Because this gave Hugh Jackman, as Wolverine, the most opportunity to show off his complete acting abilities as the character that will honestly be attached to him until the day he dies now, because he just so perfectly embodied the character.
Not Jean Valjean?
Different conversation.
Okay. I actually really liked Les Mis, though.
I did too, with certain pieces being an exception.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd say if this, as we know, this was going to be his last run as Wolverine.
Yeah.
This was absolutely the performance that we needed out of him. And I'd say, yeah, the movie as a whole in my opinion, is deserving of an A. It's on the cusp of an A plus. If I'd say if the main if the secondary problem of the storyline had been fixed, it would have been an A plus.
You want to just go ahead and jump right into it?
And now we're going to get into the spoilers. So once again, if you have not seen Logan and do not want spoilers, go ahead and end the movie now, or end our video now. Go see the movie.
And then come back.
Absolutely go. Please, please, please see the movie. Support it. Show Fox that we need more movies like this from them.
Okay.
Now, spoilers.
Very much so.
So we're just gonna go right into the crap. The Hunters were good. I personally enjoyed the Hunters, but their big secret weapon of a clone of Wolverine. A younger, mindless clone of Wolverine.
The Feral Rage.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say...
Which I know all the snobs are going to be like, oh, it's...
You're shaking the camera, right?
Am I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, oh dear Lord.
And all the snobs have been like, oh, well, you just didn't get the metaphor that it was going for.
No.
And like, no,
we got the metaphor.
We got it.
It was too on the nose.
It was
that's the
very
problem.
much on the nose.
That's honestly the problem. When we are going in to end such a critical storyline, such a legacy of an actor and as a character, with all the other depth of the movie, with how on the nose that part of the clone issue was,
I will say
that was just insulting.
I will say this right now.
It was just insulting.
And you know how I feel about M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes.
If this twist was in one of his movies, this movie would get absolutely ripped to shreds.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, this felt like the kind of twist that you would see in like The Happening. Or
Easy there.
Are you honestly telling me that The Happening was good?
No, I just know that you're about to go start ripping on some more of his movies.
Oh, no. I was actually about to be kind to him because as much as I have a problem with so much of Shyamalan's catalog,
yes, I know.
Split has redeemed him currently in my mind. But that was
not to
different review.
Yeah, not to get too far off track, but like
yeah.
if this was a twist in somebody else's movie,
the
movie would have been like crucified.
Yeah,
and that director and that writer would have been crucified.
If this had not been a Wolverine movie, if this had not been Hugh Jackman and James Mangold, if it had been literally anybody else and any other actor, it would have been ripped apart.
You know what this felt like? This felt like we have there's a lot of imagery, there's a lot of reading between the lines in terms of like what he's going through and everything like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was laid on very subtly in terms of like what he was dealing with, his inner demons and trying to be a better person and everything like that. And they were doing a really nice job of balancing it and like kind of presenting it to you, not so way over the top. And then it's like this just comes in with a 2x4 and beats you over the head with it. Yeah,
to make sure that the subtlety wasn't too subtle for you.
Yeah.
The problem.
Like, oh, hey, we were being subtle, but now here you go, and then just over.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is they'd already set up the perfect problem for the movie. You had mutant hunters. Mm-hmm. You had the Manchester. Was it Manchester?
Hmm?
Yeah, the Manchester event. That was caused by Charles Xavier.
Which basically, I mean, we're in spoiler territory. You might
where when Charles's mind started to become riddled with the telepathic mutant version of Alzheimer's, and he started to lose control of his abilities, he killed the X-Men
and a bunch of other people.
Yeah, and a lot of other people. And in the original story of Old Man Logan, which was a strong inspiration for this movie. It was Logan that killed the X-Men after being tricked by one of the supervillains. In fact, if we're being honest, one of the weaker supervillains.
Yeah. One of the big things I had wrong with that storyline run.
But
like really one of Mysterio's little fucking like, oh, let's alter reality with my little cube.
Yeah,
but like that's what got him to do it. Never mind the
honestly,
fact that well, I'm gonna stop right there.
Yeah, honestly, it's just they had already set up such a strong problem. You had Charles and his inability to control his powers anymore. His lack of even his own ability to remember things anymore.
Like he couldn't even remember that he did it.
Yeah, you had the Hunters coming after the girl, also known as X-23. You had the fallout of the program that created her in the first place.
You had the fact that...
And they were trying to find their safe haven, which they thought... Their Eden, which they thought was over the border in Canada.
Nobody goes to Canada for anything good.
Yeah, which, honestly...
Sorry if anybody's watching in Canada, it's just a joke.
But I
Don't
mean,
get so bent out about it. I'm sorry, about it.
But I mean, it just you had such a strong story right there.
Yeah.
Like it was perfect. You already had a villain. You already had a motivation, and you had a dark past that was haunting them. That was enough.
And then it was like, oh, let's throw in the villain. Oh, and the real villain is himself. What a twist!
That it almost felt like it was a parody of a movie twist when it was revealed.
Like, I actually really hate it. Like, I think I remember looking over at you in the theater and being like, what?
It hurt, honestly. It just hurt.
And then, like, the scene where they literally just kind of, like, walk up to each other and he's just, like, so in shock that it's him. I was like, come on, man, really?
And the thing that hurt more than anything else about the reveal was the way they revealed it, in that right as Charles finally had his mind come back to him for a moment of clarity, he woke up and he remembered what he did, and he saw what he thought was Logan in the corner in the shadows, and he had this big heartfelt moment where he was unloading all of this emotional baggage, and then you see Logan sit down on the bed next to him, and you think that they're about to have this big connection in maybe one of the last moments of lucidity that Charles Xavier's going to have, and then you find out it's not the right Logan, even though at no point in time up until this point in the movie had we ever been given any hint that this was even a possibility. Like, it literally came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it made no sense. None. Like,
But you clearly just didn't get it, Brad. You clearly just didn't get it. Or at least that's what the internet people tell you. Or tell me.
This isn't a Warner Brothers comic book movie here. We don't need
shots fired at Warner Brothers.
Wow. We don't need the fanboy critics trying to save a crap part of a storyline for the studio.
Shots really fired today.
We can go ahead and point out the reality that we're dealing with here, and the reality, unfortunately, is it's just. This was the only part of the story that was lazy writing.
Like
if that part had not been included in the movie, they could have done the same scene, but actually had Logan be there. If they just skipped that part and just continued on with the Hunters, continued on with the fight to get to Canada, and maybe not find their safe haven. It would have been perfect.
Like that
period.
That really ruined a lot of the movie for me.
Yeah,
it really did.
Yeah,
that's a shame. I get what they were going for. They were just way too in your face about it.
Yeah.
I also thought Caliban was pretty useless.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I was okay with him just to explain the one point that was gonna be a plot hole if they hadn't, which is how is Logan able to go out and still try to make money so that they can continue to survive and eat, and then while he's left alone.
I feel like you could have done that with anybody, though.
Yeah, and that's honestly the thing. Yeah, the character of Caliban was wasted, but
like
I'm okay with them choosing to use him because they could have literally chosen anybody.
I thought it maybe would have been better if you brought back one of the original characters to give it more of that emotional tie that he can't let go of the fact that it's still Charles that he's taking care of, even though he killed the rest of the X-Men.
Yeah, like this actually. I mean, I know that it would have been financially unfeasible to do because her.
Talking about Hallie?
No, actually, if they brought back Anna Paquin and said that this was supposed to have been the timeline without the reboot,
yeah, but I guess
so that the reason why she hadn't died with everybody else is because she was no longer a mutant.
Yeah.
So I know that bringing Anna Paquin. The price to get her in the movie, even for a cameo, I know would have been too much, and so
I guess
it was easier to use anybody else.
I guess that probably would have tied back too much.
Yeah, especially with
they really wanted
after
this
the
to be its
timeline.
own,
After the timeline of Days of
storyline.
Future Past, you did have in that future scene, they showed her again as a mutant again
in the road cut.
Yeah. So, well, no, she was in the non-road cut in the future scene. It was her and Bobby for like
right. But I'm
saying
in the road cut, like she still has her powers.
Yeah, and so I mean, it just I know that that would have messed with the story there. It would have been too expensive to bring her in. So I know that couldn't have worked. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm okay with the Caliban thing because it literally could have been filled by anybody.
Yeah.
What I actually am more frustrated by is the director of the Weapon X program that was brought in. That was the boss of the Hunters. That guy, I don't remember what his character name was, but that guy just seemed like he was about as pointless and useless as the Wolverine clone.
Well, no, he was there so that he could get shot by Logan in the head. That was about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Once again, he was unnecessary. You could have just kept it on as don't reveal who exactly who the Hunters are working for.
Yeah.
Just let the Hunters be themselves. You don't need to show hierarchy above them. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I totally agree. Yeah.
Anything else?
No. Let me think. It's been a little while since I've seen it, so I'm trying to break it down in my head.
Yeah. We realize this review's a little bit delayed.
We did one sooner, but I guess I screwed it up. So sorry about that. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like the Shane thing was pretty cool.
Oh yes.
When she recites Shane when they bury him or whatever. Oh god!
Actually, that whole Shane metaphor that was great. Encompassed the movie from beginning to end.
I'm probably gonna get.
I liked it.
This is pretty nitpicky, but I thought it was really corny that she took the after they buried him, they took the cross and they tilted it over to make an X.
Yeah,
I thought that was really corny.
Although
it was super over the top cheesy. I was like, really need to really.
There actually was one thing that the internet had pointed out, and I know I sent it to you the other day, that I hadn't really noticed until then, but
talking about the meme that you sent with
yeah. So it was actually a very interesting tie-in to the Wolverine, where the prediction from
Yuriko, right?
That was Mariko?
No, Mariko was the non-mutant. Yeah, it was Yuriko.
Yuriko. So her prediction of how Logan was going to die, on the ground, hole in his chest with his heart in his hand, being reflected even in this movie, with a hole in his chest on the ground, and the girl's hand in his, which by the end of that movie became the emotional representation of everything good about him.
Yeah.
i.e., his heart. So yeah, I mean, that was a nice throwback that I hadn't noticed first viewing through.
So, this is kind of a side tangent, but did we ever? They allude to maybe the fact that it's the adamantium that's poisoning him that stops his healing factor.
They do not go into the exact reason why.
Okay.
But yeah, it is alluded that it's the adamantium.
Which makes no sense because adamantium is indestructible, so it's not like it would corrode and like break off into his bloodstream and poison him.
Well, there actually, I did go back and do a little bit of research, and there is some evidence from the comics that says that if Logan's healing factor had been shunted by anything, which, considering everything he had been through over the years, it's very possible something could have eventually built up, that adamantium does have the ability to poison his blood. There was an entire storyline. Where in the comics where there was a secret organization that was trying to kill him because he had killed family members of theirs, and so they had all gotten together to try to bring him down, and so they had gone in and had infected him with some kind of biological agent that actually shunted his healing ability, and through that the adamantium was slowly poisoning him, and between that and his inability to fully regenerate after taking damage, that combined together to cause an eventual system shutdown for him until he was able to get his healing factor back up to full strength. So there is comic evidence that adamantium can poison his blood.
Okay.
If his healing factor is in any way muted. And it doesn't even have to be muted all the way. Just even partially is enough to start the process. So it is very feasible to say that something would have happened over the years that somehow damaged his healing ability. And I mean, there's even other theories online that show that just the basic concept of genetics says that after so many healings, his DNA, when you heal, the DNA that's used to heal is not the full strain, it's a partial, and so his healing ability, would be able to help protect that after a while, but at a point, it was still, the DNA that was going in would be degraded enough that the part that holds his healing ability would be degraded enough after so many heals, especially full body heals from, like, the nuclear blast in the Wolverine, or any other or things that should have killed him, that it would have slowly chipped away the genetics that had his healing ability in it. Okay. So there are ways that you can explain it. Gotcha. Which is why they didn't necessarily need to. Because you have comic evidence, you have scientific evidence that could go towards it, and the fans were going to go in and figure it out at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so it's not to say that it can't be explained.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm actually okay with that part.
All right.
So yeah. But anyway, that is the end of our spoiler and nerdy tangents.
Yeah.
Logan, fantastic movie. Go see it, even with a couple flaws towards the second half. Still worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely worth it. So, once again, this is Brad and Mike from Dallas Geek saying, see you.